You also have a wolf tattoo, and you've talked obviously with Lorne Michaels about your tattoos.
Yeah. He doesn't like them. Well, he's never said that, but he'll drop like hints. Like one time we were out to eat and he was like, so you got a wolf tattoo? And I was like, yeah, like excited about it. He was like, is that because you don't remember what they look like?
You auditioned for SNL. That's obviously something we have in common. I auditioned sort of doing characters, impressions. You came from stand-up, so you just straight up did stand-up at your audition. How did that come about?
I didn't know I was auditioning. I got very lucky, and I got a small part in Trainwreck, thanks to Amy Schumer, who's hosting this week.
There you go, the great Amy Schumer. I can't wait.
Oh, cool. I always wanted to set up a clap. I never did this before. This is very nice. So much better than Staten Island cable. Anyway, so I met Bill Hader, and we had like we had a good time on set. And then he called me like a week later, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, that's my impression of Bill Hader. He was like, "Hey, buddy, I recommended you to Lorne, so you got an audition next week."
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, thanks." Like I didn't know, and then I just did stand up, and I got very, very lucky.
And now, where were you when you got the call that you got the job?
Oh, my girlfriend was doing shows in where the hell was it? It doesn't matter. It was in the West Coast. I don't really remember. I should have prepared.
Or just have like a memory of moments.
San Francisco.
There you go.
Yeah, I went.
We're not gonna fact check it.
Yeah, no. She went. She was doing shows, but I wanted to go see the Full House house.
Okay.
And and by the way, not that great. Yeah. After like a 5-hour flight and all that cab, and then you get there and you're like, oh, it's a house. Yeah, and they're not there.
No, they're not.
They're not
and
there.
there's no, the memories, like, laughter's not coming out of the windows?
No, it's just someone else taking a picture, like, in front of it. You're like, oh, one of those guys.
So you flew to San Francisco?
And and the second I landed, I turned on my phone, and, like, the second it turned on, I got a call from NBC, and I answered it, and, obviously, I was like, oh, no, later. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. And I go, hello, and it's Lorne, and he goes, hello. And he was like, oh, I don't know what to do with you, but you got the show. And I was like, oh, thanks. And then I was like, hello? And he was just gone. Yeah. That was it. Yeah. And then I went home. I was like, I think I got SNL. I'm really not sure. I think he's already mad at me, too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
You did a great sketch with The Rock last year.
Yeah.
Where at one point, you, what would you call it? You were doing a cartwheel, an inverted cartwheel.
I cartwheeled into a 69.
You cartwheeled into a 69 with The Rock.
Hi, Mom.
And now, what was that moment like?
Well, here's the thing. The whole sketch is he gets hit by poisonous darts, and I have to suck out the poison.
Yeah.
And Kate McKinnon is trying to suck the poison out first, and I'm like, no, I'll do it. And it was just supposed to end with like me sucking his chest, and then Colin Jost comes in the hallway and he goes, "Hey, buddy, I really like the sketch idea. How about you cartwheel into a 69 at the end?" And I was like, "We could do that?" He was like, "I think so." And then The Rock goes, "Hey, buddy, heard we're gonna suck each other's right on, right on." And I was like, "All right." Yeah.
That's what you guys were cooking.
Yeah, that's what we were cooking up. Yeah. By the way, The Rock tastes like creatine. Like, yeah. When I went home, I was like, babe, do I look jacked?
In an alternate universe, obviously in the universe we live in, Alec Baldwin plays Donald Trump. You auditioned for Donald Trump. Everyone in the cast auditioned for Donald Trump.
Yeah, let me just, before you show, they made us all audition. I wasn't at home like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah.
And so, but there you are. This is a very rare photo.
And
how was...
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
How was your chump? Be honest.
No, I was so upset that I had to do it. It was very
By the way, he's upset that he has to be president, so that might have... You could have pulled from that. And
dork.
You had something very exciting happen this summer. The Miami Marlins were in town.
Yes.
They were playing the New York Mets. There's a player on the Marlins that people have told you looked like, which is Christian Yelich.
Yes.
There he is right there.
Kind of look alike.
And you look, I will say, like you look more like when you're not right next to each other.
I look like him on crack. Like, that's really what I look like. Yeah, let's be honest. I look terrible.
Yeah. But so he was in on this, but his teammates were not.
No, here's what happened. So the guy from the Marlins was like, we Twittered each other, And he was like, hey, I think we should surprise Christian. And, you know, you dress up as him and, you know, you go out and stretch with him and see if he notices. And I was like, great. And I should have known it was a problem because when I got to the Mets Stadium, when I got there, I pulled in and I was like, hey, I'm here for like the Marlins thing. And they're like, well, there's no such thing going on right now. And then I called the guy. I was like, hey, I'm here. What should I do? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, what do you mean you don't know? I was like, I can't just walk in, you know.
Yeah, but you did. We have a video. This is you coming out on the field during stretches.
Yeah. So this is an hour later, by the way. I came out to do stretching, and I was like, you know, being a jerk. I was like, oh yeah, by the way, foul tip. And I was very happy with that. No, they didn't tell anybody, and they didn't. So when I went to stretch with them, I was trying to be funny, and nobody knew, like nobody cared. And then the strength and conditioning coach goes, hey son, get the off the field. This is a man's game, son. And I was like, this is a nice time, you guys. Thank you so much. Really glad I came here.
You reflect very badly on the strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
So I've noticed, I knew you had tattoos before, but you have a lot more.
Yes.
When did you up your tattoo game?
Over the summer.
So you pretty much sleeved both arms.
Yeah, I left the show with no sleeves and then came back with sleeves.
And what was did you just go tattoo crazy this summer?
I don't know. I really like them. They're cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them.
That's good. Are they cool things? Do you have cool things?
I have my dad's helmet. I have like a bunch of Harry Potter crap, which here's the thing about the Harry Potter crap. At the time, it seemed like a really good idea, but like, what if
this
like
summer?
Yeah, but like, what if one of the people in the cast is like a sex offender later on, you know?
Oh,
like,
you mean someone in the Harry Potter movies?
Yeah, there's a huge cast. So like, if someone comes out as like a sex offender, I'm like screwed.
Are you talking about all the people in the 80s who got Bill Cosby tattoos?
Yeah. There's someone out there. There's someone out there with like a dope Bill Cosby tattoo.
Now, one thing your burgeoning film career has led you to decide is the removal of your famous tattoo collection.
Oh, God, yeah. So I didn't think that they would put me in stuff.
Like the movie business.
Like movie business or anything. I thought after this SNL, I thought it was a wrap. But they're getting...
Wait, because again, you started SNL when you were 20.
Yeah.
And you thought it was going to be your last job.
Yeah, well, people don't realize I'm like kind of old. I'm like 27, but in Hollywood, that's like 40. You know?
Yeah. That would make me 100.
Yeah, it's like you know, a basketball player being like 37. So no, I honestly never thought that I would get an opportunity to act, and I love it a lot. And it takes like 3 hours. You have to get there 3 hours earlier to cover all your tattoos, because for some reason people in movies they don't have them that much.
And you basically used your one sort of autobiographical type movie.
Yeah.
You used that bullet.
Yeah.
Did King of Staten Island, and then you had to figure out how to.
So now I'm burning them off, but like burning them off is like worse than getting them, because like not only are they like burning off your skin, but like you're wearing these like big goggles, right? So you can't see anything, and there's just like the doctor's in there with you. So before he goes to laser each tattoo, you have to hear him announce what the tattoo is to make sure if you want to keep it or not. So I'll just be like sitting there, you know, like all high off of the Pronox, which I actually quite enjoy. It's actually pretty fun. And then all of a sudden I'll just hear, "Are we keeping the Stewie Griffin smoking a blunt?" And then I have to sit there and be like, "No, Dr. G." And he's like, "All right." And you just but yeah, if you're gonna get tattoos, you know, just make sure you really want it and aren't on mushrooms.
Because it's not, I think that's a really important lesson, is it's not just that one day you'll have them taken off. You will have to have them audibly described to you by a medical professional.
Yeah, it's really embarrassing. Are we keeping the owl that licks the Tootsie Pop? Yes, actually, we are keeping that one.
That is a keeper.
That one's a keeper.
Last we talked this summer, you were in your mom's basement.
Yes.
I believe, like everyone who's ever met your mom, huge fan of hers.
Great lady.
Great lady. But are you happy to be out of the basement? Although I should note, the basement looked pretty nice. There seemed to be multiple video game consoles.
Thank you.
So
I would just like people to know that, like, I bought that house too. Like,
That's okay. That's a very
like I set up the it was sick down there.
Yeah.
Like people would come over and they'd be like, "Oh, this is sick."
Yes,
You know?
I think it was actually it was a service to everyone to see how nice a situation it was, because I think we use Mom's Basement sort of to be derogatory, but in your case, I mean, that's like something everybody should be aiming for.
Yeah, it was really cool, but it was also, it's nice to move out because it's really nice to masturbate and not hear your mom like cooking,
Yeah,
you know?
except for like a very thin slice of people.
Yeah.
Who it's
Some people, well, that was my fear, is like, what if that's the only way I can finish now?
Do you like call her up?
I'm like, hey, what are you doing right now? I'm cooking. I'm like, oh, great.
Oh no. We knew what it looked like.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm a very simple man.
I am a huge fan of your mom, who is one of the sweetest ladies in the world.
Me as well.
Yeah.
Amy Davidson.
Amy Davidson.
Good lady.
Now, is Amy, during this time, or were you and Amy under the same roof? Was she there when you would, like, skulk off to the closet? And did she believe you when you told her you were doing a cartoon?
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm just like, we did live together for, like, a good 2 years, and she was a pretty great roommate.
Yeah.
You know.
What do you think she would say about you as a roommate?
I think she would just be like, that kid jerks off a lot. like, for...
I will say, I do believe this. If a mom said it, I do think they wouldn't say your name. They'd say that kid.
That kid.
They'd be like, Pete's on SNL, Pete's in the movies, Pete's got a show in Tubi. That kid jerks off a lot.
Yeah. No, but we had a really good situation. It was like we got really close and really tight. I enjoyed it.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
What of your stuff, what does she like the most? I mean, she must have liked the fact that you did a film in Staten Island.
Yeah, I think she's just happy I'm not like selling crack under the bridge.
Yeah.
You know, because like that's like definitely my calling. So yeah, she's pleased with anything. But every once in a while you could tell she's still like a little unsure of how it's gonna go, as am I every day. But the other day she was just like, the garbage man's test is coming up this week. She goes, it's a lovely job. You work for the city, you get a uniform.
You were like, I've got a show on
Tubi, dude.